Hi, this is Harry Campbell from Biofeedback Resources International, and recently I was at the Psychotherapy Networker Symposium in Washington, D.C. I was asked a question that we commonly get, but the question came up a lot of times, and it may be just that there were so many people there. There was over 4,000 therapists at this conference, and I was in the exhibit hall there, and so this question came up many times by people that visited, and the question is, what is the difference between biofeedback and neurofeedback? And so it's a reasonable question, and since we answered it so many times, I thought it might be helpful to put this question and answer out to the public. So really, biofeedback you could think of as the all-encompassing method of using instruments to measure physiology, measuring signals that come from the body that we can learn to control. But the term neurofeedback came up because one of the things that we can measure, EEG, started to become more popular, and people wanted to sort of differentiate it from other methods or modes of biofeedback. So biofeedback would include all of the things you can measure: EMG for muscle tension, skin temperature, skin conductance that has to do with sweat, or you might hear GSR, which is galvanic skin response, also has to do with another way of measuring sweat activity. And then we have respiration, which measures breathing, and you have heart rate and heart rate variability. And then you have EEG biofeedback. So what happened when EEG biofeedback became more popular during the times, especially when the ADHD protocol and applications and the substance abuse protocols and applications started to become popular and more widespread and more well known, people started to come up with this term neurofeedback to sort of differentiate from other modalities of biofeedback. So they sort of took EEG biofeedback and gave it its own name, neurofeedback, while everything else would then be considered biofeedback. So I think a better way to look at it would be to call the sort of other modalities peripheral biofeedback. So rather than just saying biofeedback, if we say peripheral biofeedback, then it's easier to know that we're talking about the other modalities other than the ones that are more specifically to do with the brain. So when I say peripheral biofeedback, I would mean EMG for muscle tension, skin conductance for sweat, skin temperature for peripheral skin temperature, respiration, heart rate, and heart rate variability. Those would all be considered under peripheral biofeedback. Under neurofeedback, we would be dealing with everything that has more specifically to do with the brain. So EEG biofeedback, which is measuring electrical activity from the brain. Also, you can consider HEG or hemoencephalograph biofeedback to be part of the neurofeedback because it's dealing more specifically with the brain, looking at temperature changes in the frontal lobe mainly of the brain using infrared sensors. And any other measurement that we would give feedback on that would deal more specifically with the brain, we would put under the neurofeedback heading. So that's really the difference in what they are. Now the next thing would be, what are they used for? And this becomes a little tricky because in most cases we would recommend that a person use both peripheral biofeedback and neurofeedback with most conditions or most applications, most symptoms. there are some symptoms or applications that are going to be more specifically neurofeedback, and others that are going to be more specifically peripheral biofeedback. But I still would recommend that you not think of it as exclusively neurofeedback or peripheral biofeedback, because when you're dealing with a person that has one symptom, there may be methods of using both peripheral biofeedback and neurofeedback to best help the person, and also they may have other symptoms that would require the other modality anyway. So I'll just name some of the things that would be more specifically peripheral biofeedback. So if you think of a tension headache being more associated with muscle tension, and we would normally use EMG biofeedback and probably some other modalities like temperature biofeedback to help teach a person to relax, and more specifically relax the muscles. You would also look at migraine headaches, which the protocols for that would also tend to include surface EMG and skin temperature, especially skin temperature, and possibly some other modalities like HEG, which now again would go back to the neurofeedback. And there are also some neurofeedback protocols that would be useful for migraine headache as well. But in general, the sort of traditional protocol for migraine would be under the peripheral biofeedback. Then you have like neuromuscular pain, so neck pain, back pain, muscle spasms. Those are going to be peripheral biofeedback. You're going to tend to do most of that with EMG, surface EMG biofeedback. If you have rehabilitation applications where a person needs to learn or relearn proper use of muscles, surface EMG, so that's going to be peripheral biofeedback. Anything that you would say is just sort of a stress-related disorder, anxiety, phobias, things like that, you're probably going to be looking at using peripheral biofeedback, including skin temperature, skin conductance, heart rate variability, including respiration. Those are things that you would use with anxiety or stress-related disorders. And now we switch over to, that's not a full list, but that's just to give an idea. Now let's switch over to neurofeedback and some of the applications there. So under neurofeedback, we would look at things like ADHD. We would look at autism and spectrum types of disorders. We would look at traumatic brain injury and substance abuse. Also insomnia, although insomnia would also be a peripheral biofeedback application as well. Learning disorders, those would tend to be under neurofeedback. But you can also see how there would be some crossover where if we were using mainly neurofeedback with someone, there would be reasons to use peripheral biofeedback with that same person. And if we were using mainly peripheral biofeedback, there may be some reasons to use neurofeedback with them as well. So I hope that is helpful. Again, peripheral biofeedback would mean EMG, temperature, skin conductance, respiration, heart rate and heart rate variability. Neurofeedback would mean EEG biofeedback, HEG, and possibly other measures that would be more specifically with the brain. And if you have any further questions, you can contact me. You can reach me at the office at 877-669-6463 or 914-762-4646. If you want to catch me on my cell phone, if I'm not in the office, you can reach me at 914-441-9714. The website is biofeedbackinternational.com, and my email address is harry@biofeedbackinternational.com. We are also on Facebook and YouTube, obviously. If you're watching this, you're probably watching it on YouTube. And I look forward to speaking with any of you. We do offer training in both peripheral biofeedback and neurofeedback. They are accredited by BCIA, that's the Biofeedback Certification International Alliance, and they count towards the certifications that are available for both peripheral biofeedback and neurofeedback. If we can help, please contact us. Talk to you soon.